A sport utility vehicle or SUV is a car classification that combines elements of road-going passenger cars with features from off-road vehicles, such as raised ground clearance and four-wheel drive. There is no commonly agreed upon definition of an SUV, and usage of the term varies between countries. Some definitions claim that an SUV must be built on a light truck chassis. However, broader definitions consider any vehicle with off-road design features to be an SUV. A crossover SUV is often defined as an SUV built with a unibody construction. However, in many cases, crossovers are simply referred to as SUVs. In some countries, such as the United States, SUVs have been classified as light trucks, resulting in more lenient regulations compared to passenger cars. The predecessors to SUVs date back to military and low-volume models from the late 1930s, and the four-wheel drive station wagons and carryalls that began to be introduced in 1949. The 1984 Jeep Cherokee is considered to be the first SUV in the modern style. Some SUVs produced today use unibody construction. However, in the past, more SUVs used body-on-frame construction. During the late 1990s and early 2000s, the popularity of SUVs greatly increased, often at the expense of the popularity of large sedans and station wagons. More recently, smaller SUVs, midsize, and crossovers have become increasingly popular. SUVs are currently the world's largest automotive segment and accounted for 36.8% of the world's passenger car market in 2017. There is no universally accepted definition of the sport utility vehicle. Dictionaries, automotive experts, and journalists use varying wordings and defining characteristics, in addition to regional variations of usage by both the media and the general public. The auto industry also has not settled on one definition of the SUV. The actual term, sport utility vehicle, did not come into wide popular usage until the late 1980s. Prior to then, such vehicles were marketed as four-wheel drives, jeeps, station wagons, or other monikers. Automotive websites' descriptions of SUVs range from specifically combining car-like appointments and wagon practicality with steadfast off-road capability, with chair-height seats and picture window visibility, to the more general, nearly anything with available all-wheel drive and raised ground clearance. It is also suggested that the term SUV has replaced Jeep as a general term for off-road vehicle. American dictionary definitions for SUVs include, in British English, the terms 4x4, Jeep, or off-road vehicle are generally used instead of sport utility vehicle. The term Chelsea tractor is also commonly used, due to the perceived popularity of the vehicles with both farmers and residents of Chelsea, London. However, in recent years the term SUV has entered usage in the United Kingdom. The Collins English Dictionary defines a sport utility vehicle as a powerful vehicle with four-wheel drive that can be driven over rough ground. The abbreviation SUV is often used. In Europe, the term SUV is generally used for road-oriented vehicles. 4x4, or the brand name of the vehicle, is typically used for off-road-oriented vehicles. Similarly, in New Zealand, vehicles designed for off-road use are typically referred to as four-wheel drives, instead of SUVs. In Europe, an SUV might also be considered a J segment. In the United States, many government regulations simply have categories for off-highway vehicles, which are loosely defined and often result in SUVs being classified as light trucks. For example, corporate average fuel economy regulations previously included, permit greater cargo carrying capacity than passenger carrying volume, in the definition for trucks, resulting in SUVs being classified as light trucks. This classification as trucks allowed SUVs to be regulated less strictly than passenger cars under the Energy Policy and Conservation Act for Fuel Economy and the Clean Air Act for Emissions. However, from 2004 onwards, the United States Environmental Protection Agency began to hold sport utility vehicles to the same tailpipe emissions standards as cars. In 2011, the CAFE regulations were changed to classify small, two-wheel drive SUVs as passenger cars. However, the licensing and traffic enforcement regulations in the United States vary from state to state, and an SUV may be classified as a car in some states but as a truck in others. For industry production statistics, SUVs are counted in the light truck product segment. In India, all SUVs are classified in the utility vehicle category per the Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers. Engine are larger, along with 170 mm of ground clearance, are subject to a 30% excise duty. In Australia, SUV sales were helped by having lower import duties than passenger cars. Up until January 2010, SUVs were subject to a 5% import tariff, compared with 10% for passenger cars. Many years after most passenger cars had tariff